Catholic Church hates the sin but loves the sinner.
Sex before marriage is not okay.
We believe that God was there before the creation of the universe.
Heaven and hell are fictitious places.
If we tend towards anger and hatred, we might be reborn in a lower realm.
Hinduism allows us to get to the state of everlasting happiness. I think World Youth Day is great. I think it's anything to encourage youth onto a spiritual pathway is great.
It's a time where young people can really express themselves. I also see World Youth Day as a chance to meet other people of like thinking.
I think that World Youth Day being funded by the government is a bad thing because it's actually World Catholic Youth Day.
In my mind, if it's just a lot of people getting together and hearing the same old dogma and just having that reinforced at to the expense and to the exclusion of people using their own minds and inquiring wisdom into things, then it might just perpetuate a lot of the division we have in society.
I think World Youth Day is a real opportunity for interfaith dialogue and for people to come together and discuss issues of faith in today's world.
If the Catholic Church, through World Youth Day, is going to fill that void of spiritualism, which is so important as a young Muslim, but generally as a young Australian, then by all means, it's a fantastic initiative.
The evidence for evolution is so strong that to disbelieve it is the same as saying that germ theory is untrue, or that the theory of gravitation is wrong.
Teachings of Judaism explain that God created the world in 6 days, and on the 7th day he rested.
Anyone can believe what they want to believe as long as they attribute it to God. But ultimately, yes, humans were put on this earth by God to join with him in this ultimate happiness of heaven.
In Islam, some aspects of the theory of evolution are acceptable or may be acceptable, but generally we do believe, and this is probably the biggest difference, is that we believe that God was there before the creation of the universe.
Hinduism believes in a spiritual evolution rather than a physical evolution, so it doesn't quite believe in us evolving from one form turning into another form into another form.
I think it's very, very cogent and makes a lot of sense, the theory of evolution, and that ties in, I think, with Buddhist teachings on dependent co-origination, cause and effects.
Evolution is as close to a fact as any scientific theory can be.
Islam, like other major religions, considers homosexuality as unnatural.
The Catholic Church hates the sin but loves the sinner.
According to halakha, the Jewish law, homosexuality is not permitted.
We're not aiming at saying what is, setting up real strict boundaries of this is right, that's wrong.
It's a private relationship between people that really shouldn't be the concern of anybody else.
There's actually nothing wrong with homosexuality in a moral sense. There's absolutely nothing bad about it.
Homosexuality is wrong more because we believe that it is not open to the complementarity of the sexual intercourse between one man and one woman.
It's not actually the feelings that a man might have for another man or a woman for another woman that's not permitted. It's actually acting on that impulse.
We encourage the sinner to put away or to try and disclude his homosexual acts and rather practice chastity.
Heaven and hell are fictitious places. They exist in the minds of believers.
Heaven's going to be an unbelievable place. It's going to be a place where I'm unified with people of like thinking, and I'm there with God and the angels.
So we have a concept of reincarnation, basically. We do come back again and again because we have unlived desires.
If we develop our minds through peace and loving kindness and compassion, then we will be reborn in a realm that is a higher realm of consciousness.
Islam teaches that in God's wisdom, God allows us to go through this life as a journey, and it's a test whereby God can determine which of us is worthy of heaven.
There is a judgment day, And if you are not judged favourably, so to speak, to go to heaven straight away, there is a waiting period, there's a period of repentance.
Hell, on the other hand, it doesn't sound like it's the greatest place. It sounds like it's full of people that I don't really want to associate myself with. It's a place where I'm not with God.
If we tend towards anger and hatred, we might be reborn in a lower realm, one that is conditioned by constant suffering due to hatred and anger.
As far as we know, when you're dead, so you may as well make the most out of living.
As a young Australian Muslim, I often find it a little bit difficult to manage the materialistic part of our lives, the iPods, the TV shows, while still holding on to like a spiritual focus.
We often see in media and in magazines that it's good to go after material good, and it's good to possess everything and to be on top of everything.
It's often hard to work around my 5 daily prayers while still going to work and university, and often, it's hard to reschedule meetings on Fridays because I have to go to the mosque. But other than that, I've found like living 20 years as an Australian Muslim has been quite fulfilling.
I'd definitely say my religion's relevant to modern life. It gives me something to turn to when I've got some challenges which frequently come up.
Helping the needy, tzedakah, helping charity, helping the poor. These are all Jewish values which are part of modern life.
The practices of loving kindness, practices of compassion for oneself, for all beings in the world, are absolutely fundamental, especially in this day and age.
The best thing about Islam for me, I guess, is the ability for it to allow me to step back several times a day during the hustle and bustle of modern day life and just put my life into perspective.
Hinduism allows us to get to the state of everlasting happiness and gives us the principles and the tools that we require to control our mind and become master of our own lives.
Islam permits sex only during lawful marriage.
We see that sexual intercourse should take place in marriage.
Sex before marriage is not, okay?
Marriage, as I'm told, allows and provides for all the spiritual, psychological and emotional safeguards that are needed to kind of have like a wholesome sexual relationship.
It's not allowed because it's seen as the partnership, the union between two people is so important and is so valued that it's not allowed.
The institution of marriage is set in place in Hinduism for the fact that people will want to experience sexual desire and procreate.
But there are more liberal streams of Judaism that don't condemn it so vehemently.
There is nothing in the Buddhist tradition that says that sex is actually bad in itself, nor that sex should be reserved for marriage.
There's no reason that that you should intervene in the relationships of consenting adults.
Obviously it is hard, and like a lot of the times we see on billboards and magazines, that sexual intercourse before marriage or on demand is seemingly the way to go. But yeah, I think it's always been a challenge. I don't think necessarily it's a challenge now, and it's probably going to be a challenge in the future.